Okay. Big news last couple of days. Jeremiah Trotter parts ways with Philadelphia. I don't understand the cut myself, even though he wasn't playing at a particularly high level on the field, very average as far as middle linebackers go. The routine 100 tackles, and was slowing down. He can play the run like few other middle linebackers in the league, but more importantly, he was a emotional leader on the Philadelphia team. I don't personally agree with the cut. I do understand why they made it, but I'm not sure if they have someone who can replace him immediately. Now you're looking at Takeo Spikes, Omar Gaither, and I'm not sure who the third linebacker is going to be. Chris Gokong maybe, but I'm not feeling it. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Larry Johnson signs his big contract extension with Kansas City. Nice job getting that taken care of. Kansas City does need him. Um, he won't be around long enough to see most of that money. I think he's going to be out of the league in a couple of years because he's getting overworked. But he got it worked out, and now he's going to cash in big time in the prime of his career. Um, Vic obviously just today got suspended by the NFL indefinitely. From what I understand from his plea agreement, where he confessed to basically everything, I can't help but anticipate it's going to be an extremely long um, a suspension. I don't know how long. Maybe I could even see a Pete Rose type thing going down here. We haven't seen anything like this in quite a while since like Rake Haruth, however you pronounce his name. That's about all that's happened. Um, to That's worth talking about. Let's see. There were a couple games yesterday. Jacksonville, Green Bay. I actually saw part of this game. Leftwich is letting me down. He had two opportunities for long touchdown passes to Dennis Northcutt, and nothing was shaken. Overthrew him both times. Not pretty. Ended up with some pretty ugly numbers and could not lead the Jacksonville offense to very much. Um, David Garrard came in and outplayed him, and I guess you might want to say Quinn Gray also had a nice game, so he's running out of excuses. I like Leftwich. He needs to do better than that. Um, Jacksonville defense looked pretty good. Reggie Hayward is back. Um, let's see. On the Packers side of things, Favre looks nice. That last drive at the end of the first half really makes me think that he's going to have a nice season this year. Aaron Rodgers continues to have an impressive preseason. Um, Jacob Jones continues to establish himself as the number 3 receiver in Green Bay that they so desperately need. Donald Driver gets hurt. Hopefully he won't miss any of the regular season because they still do need him. That defense continues to be absolutely suffocating with their pass rush. I really like what they're doing here. I think this defense is really going to be something else when they all get together on the field in the regular season. Jaguars win obviously 21-13. Not terribly important. Favre was still probably the MVP of the game with a very solid performance. Chiefs, Saints. Obviously, the Saints with a blowout 30-7 win. Once again, I find myself wholly unimpressed with Brodie Croyle. I don't know why there's so much bias toward him and against Damon Huard so far this preseason. I really think that if the Chiefs do start Huard, they can win games this year, but they won't be able to do it with Brodie Croyle at the helm. He just isn't showing me anything. Larry Johnson did not play. Not a lot else to say. Defense looked pretty good in the sense that they were able to stop the Chiefs once they got inside the red zone. The backups did give up quite a bit later in the game, but all in all, I think their defense played fairly well. Let's see. For the Saints side, Drew Brees continues to tear it up, and he's just been an absolute monster this preseason. Bush is starting to look a little better than what we saw last season. Jamie Martin, even. I got to give him some credit. I think he's a pretty terrible player, but he was playing well. But he played well yesterday. David Patton, maybe he can get his career back on track. 6 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown yesterday. It's more proof to me that Brees can really turn anybody into something. And that Saints defense is actually looking pretty good. They got solid pressure. They forced a couple of turnovers. So yeah, real explosion by the Saints. First huge game of the preseason for them. Very impressive. And right now, actually, since I'm making this video a little late because some kid stole my microphone, we got Tennessee and Buffalo. And what's to gather from that game? Vince Young looks pretty good. First touchdowns of the preseason for him, I do believe. First points, actually. Has thrown one and ran for one. Lendell White looks good, which is big for this Tennessee team who really needs a #1 running back. And I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm hoping. Maybe it's too much to hope, but I hope Lendell White can be the starter on this team. I guess by now Chris Brown has come in, and he's looked more impressive than White, but we'll see how much that means soon enough. This Williams fellow in the Tennessee receiving corps, Roydell Williams, he's looked pretty good. 4 catches for 68 yards. So maybe they found a legitimate receiving threat. Bo Scaife has had a couple of nice catches, and Lendell White getting involved in the passing game as well with 3 catches for 23 yards. On the other side, well, actually, let's go to defense for a second. Michael Griffin is all over the field today. 5 tackles and a forced fumble already, so it looks like that draft pick may have been a good investment after all. I was not sold into it when they made it. Lossman looks alright, had that nice deep throw to Lee Evans, and you know that's going to happen so many times this year. It's what they do. I mean, Lee Evans is so good at running those deep routes, and Lossman is so good at throwing them, it seems. But Lynch not looking good, 9 carries, 9 yards, catch for 3 yards, not promising for him. He's practically guaranteed a starting job, but if he wants to blow it, that would be the way to go. Plus, he lost a fumble. So, can't say that's good for the Buffalo run game. Defensively, not a lot of plays made. And the other game going on right now that I'm actually watching, or at least watching a little bit of here and there, Patriots-Panthers. I'll comment more on this tomorrow, but so far, I've seen a couple of marches up and down the field. Maroney is starting to get in his groove. Dan Morgan's back. I saw him make a play here and there. So that's definitely good for the Panthers. Both quarterbacks playing reasonably well, kind of conservatively. I don't think Moss is playing still, so we're still waiting for that offense to come together. So I'm not sure if there's much to even be gathered from this game. That's really all I got to say. Couple of other news tidbits. Asante Samuel about to report. This really makes the Patriots even more scary than they already are. You know, I think a lot of teams were hoping that they would at least be weak at cornerback, so they would have a weakness. But if Samuel decides to give in and come back now, it's really not looking good for any team out there. Looks like David Boston finally got arrested. You know, I thought he was finally on track. I really thought he could have had a decent year with Tampa, you know, as a #2 or #3 receiver. And I heard he was a starter now, but, well, he's blown it. Looks like it. Jets deal Kendall to the Redskins for what probably will end up a 4th-round pick. I'm guessing anyway. Good move by both teams, even though I think the Jets well missed Kendall. They had to get rid of him. He was just turning into a real cancer. I think they should have been nicer to him several months ago, but you can't change the past. So, yeah, that's about it. You know, final note about Trotter. It looks like he's working out for Tampa Bay. They could use him with the loss of Quarles. Denver should be looking at him as well. Detroit should definitely take a hard look at him. These are all teams that need middle linebackers. My last team was the Colts. I was thinking about maybe the Colts picking him up, but he really does not fit what they do in Indianapolis. They're around speed, and Trotter doesn't have speed, so even though they could use linebackers, I don't think Indy is going to work. So that's about all I got to say. I'll probably report in tomorrow or the next day sometime with other game action as I see it, so see you then.